Welcome to Activity 2, Water Transparency and Cloud Cover. Water transparency is how clear the water is. To do this activity, you will need a bucket, a transparency tube, and a container of some kind to fill the transparency tube. The first thing you'll do with your group, if you are group number 1, is you are going to fill your bucket with the sample water. To do this, you're going to walk out into the stream and you're going to hold the bucket so that water is flowing into your bucket. You want to make sure you're collecting it from the surface of the water. When you have a full bucket, you're going to bring that back to shore. All groups are going to use this one water sample to make sure we're getting the same accuracy in our transparency measurements. So, when it's your turn, you can come over to the bucket sample that you have collected. And you're going to get your transparency tube. Now the first thing you want to do is make sure the bottom part of your transparency tube, this flexible tube at the bottom, is tightly closed. The next thing you're going to do is you are going to fill your transparency tube to the very top with water from your bucket. Then, someone from your group will look down from the very top of the transparency tube to see if you can see the black and white patterned disc at the bottom. This is called a Secchi disc. If you can see the Secchi disc from the top without removing any water, on your answer sheet you will mark greater than the transparency tube. If you look through and you cannot see that black and white disc, you're going to carefully release water into the bucket. Now to do this, you'll have one person looking down the tube and another member of your group slowly releasing the water. To release, you just unclip that plastic metal clip at the bottom. The person watching will say stop when they can see the black and white Secchi disc. Stop, and the person will clip the water. Make sure you're releasing the water into the bucket. Once you have the point at which you can see the black and white disc, you're going to look and see where that measurement is on the side of your transparency tube. This is in centimeters. So we are at 49 centimeters. We record that on our answer sheet. We dump the water carefully back into the bucket. And then we repeat this procedure 3 times to find the average. For the second part of Activity 2, you're going to be looking at cloud cover. Now for cloud cover, you're going to be using your student data worksheet, part 2, starting on page 3, and following the instructions for cloud cover. You're going to start right under Transparency Tube Test 3, under Sky Conditions. The first thing you're looking for is if there's clouds or not. So for that, just look up and see if you can see any clouds. If it's completely clear, you can check no clouds visible. If there are clouds visible, you can continue. So the second part says, if clouds are visible, select all cloud types seen. And to help you with that, we have a colored laminated reference sheet that will stay at the cloud station. So you'll use this reference sheet to look up at the clouds and try to determine what cloud types you're seeing. Now there's 4 categories. One is very high up in the sky. The other one is in the middle part of the sky. There's the low part of the sky or closest to you. And then there's also a category for rain or snow clouds. Now, you might have both high in the sky clouds with low clouds in front of them. So you might have more than one type of clouds. Then you'll go to the back page, page 4. It's going to ask you what percent of the sky is covered in clouds. And so for that, you're going to look up, again, if there's no clouds, it's 0%, you can click that, or check that. And then you're going to look up and guess or estimate with your group if it's 50 or 25 to 50, 50 to 90% covered in clouds. The next question asks if there's contrails in the sky. Contrails are those lines that planes leave behind after they fly through. And so if there are contrails, you're going to put contrails are visible and then record the type. So you might see short-lived, ones that are just following the plane. So you can probably see the plane as it's going. There's also persistent non-spreading, which means that you might not be able to see the plane, so they're staying in the sky, but they're non-spreading, which means they stay in that tight line. And then finally, there's persistent spreading, which means that you can't see the plane anymore. They stretch across the sky or a large portion of the sky, and then they kind of are expanding out from that straight line.